Hello and welcome to the latest update on the SmashFM US Tour. It's New Year's Day here in Australia, so it's 2018. I'm Andrew Seabrook in Melbourne, and today we're catching up with Will Taylor, who's still in Nashville, Tennessee, and who spent the day out at Nissan Stadium taking in his first NFL game. So welcome, Will. How has your day been?
Yeah, pretty good. I'll just take this Sunday off because I'm not in 2018 just yet. I'm in 2017 still. What a game it was at Nissan Stadium. Of course, everything up for grabs it was in that game. Today was the Tennessee Titans hosting Jacksonville Jaguars. The equation was quite simple. The Titans have to win, and they were in. That was pretty much what the slogan was win and we're in. So that was a great slogan, I must admit. They did get the job done. They won 15-10 in that game, but I'll tell you a bit about the details of that game shortly. But, it was a great day out there in Nissan Stadium. Freezing. It was the coldest day that they're going to have all year. It was definitely like minus 6 or 10. It felt worse than that. It was minus 30 by the time I left the stadium. But anyway, it was one of the best games I've been to, and they showed me around the stadium, and especially backstage, including going into the cheerleaders' locker rooms, of course, there at the stadium, and of course had a chance to go outside and see what they actually do in practice, as well as just being on the ground, which is just amazing before the game, and you had a chance to do it after the game as well. And then one thing I was surprised about, more the point, was I actually had a chance to go up on the media box, the press box there at the Nissan Stadium, which you'll see in the photos as behind you, Andrew, as we go along, how good the view was from where I was sitting.
Yeah, well, we might get you to talk us through the photographs there. We'll start with this one here. That's the obviously outside the stadium. Sorry, the inside.
Yeah, so no, that was inside, of course, outside, but inside the stadium, of course. That was pre-game, because with both teams practicing, whatnot. So that's the Jacksonville Jaguars team doing warm-ups. And, of course, before that was the cheerleaders warming up. Now, that's the press box. That was the view I had from the press box. It's actually quite longer than that picture. So if you, probably the best example would be Amy Park and the boxes they have on both sides. So the press box is on the third level, and it's a long ways. It's from they call it the end zone, or just a little bit before the end zone, after the end zone, all the way through to about the 30-40 metre line, if you're thinking about, I guess, when you watch the sport, on the opposition side. So it's quite a fairly long press box in an NFL game, in any stadium, for the matter of fact. So it's actually quite amazing. So that's actually, so just hold that there, Andrew. So where's, actually that's probably a better one, actually. So just above the sponsor signs, the stick-on ones, not the electronic one above, but just above that is actually the press box, all the way through. So a little bit further out of the picture is the end of the press box, right through to the Bridgestone sign. That's the whole press box by itself. And then beyond that is on the right, further right of that is the TV team and all that sort of thing. So it's quite a long media row behind the stands there. So, and of course that was after the game. The pictures there now when the Titans put themselves a playoff.
So as you were regarded as a member of the press corps for this particular session?
Yep, correct.
Yeah.
Yes, I was.
And you
even
were
though
saying,
it caught me by surprise.
And you were saying that there were only that the press was allowed onto the ground only at certain times during the game.
Correct. So if you had official like a year NFL pass or one of these ones, I don't think you can see it properly with the light right there.
Forward slightly. Tilt it forward slightly. No, and tilt it. Yeah. Oh, there you go. That's all right. That's okay. Cool.
Yep. So that there was. So if you had any credential similar to that, you get to go on the ground at the two. So they have here, they call it the 2-minute warning of every half. So the first half and the second half. So second quarter and final quarter, that happens. You can go on the ground right to the end of that half. So you can interview either the opposition, depending on which, or you want to interview the home team. So, but in this case, Jacksonville didn't want any interviews, which is fair enough because they lost. Most of them went to the Tennessee Titans, which was actually easy to get to because it was on the same side as the press box. So, so I was surprised I didn't got it, but of course I wanted to thank the Tennessee Titans organisation for this opportunity. But I was just there to have a look at how it's actually been done here at the professional level. I guess the elite level, how they go about doing their from radio through to television and also the written stuff in the newspaper. So and obviously the online articles as well. So it's actually quite interesting just to have a look at what they actually do in the press over here in the US. So that was a real experience which I didn't think was going to be possible for me to be part of. So I'm very grateful.
And that's your first NFL game that you've been to?
Yeah, correct. Absolutely. So, and what a game to do it too in a crunch game.
Yeah. And what was your impression? Because it's very different being there in person, isn't it, to just simply watching it on TV along the way.
Oh, absolutely. And I guess a lot of people think of NFL football as, I guess, an entertainment, which it is, but just watching on TV is completely different to being there at the stadium. So I had a chance to go downstairs and especially the last 2 minutes of the second half. And it's really experience what it's like and what it really means to the city, what it means to the players, what it means to the coaches, to how important that game was and just to be part of the game. And it just blew me away on how passionate the fans are, how passionate the coaches are, the teams are. I guess, and see how brutal it really is. With the hits, you can hear every bump, every bruise that went through, every bump of the road there was in that game. It's something that not many people would understand how emotional roller coaster that really is if you're not at the ground. So it's something I would recommend anyone to do. Obviously, the season's actually pretty much finished in about 2 months' time because now we're in the playoffs starting this weekend, this coming weekend here. But next year, make sure it's part of your bucket list. September through to December is the regular season for next year. So make sure it's something that you should do as part of your bucket list if you're a sports junkie.
So looking forward to tomorrow. What's in the agenda? That's called user error, folks. It's called not pressing on the on button.
So I had so I could have easily just kept talking for a while. But yeah, tomorrow I'll be last day here in Nashville, of course, before heading over to New York. Leaving here around about 6 o'clock is my flight out of Nashville, arriving in New York just before midnight. And yeah, that's going to be a bit of a shock for me too, going over there. But yeah, so this is my final part of the trip of the 3 cities that I was going to, because early in the week was Dallas. This week, obviously late in the week, it's been Nashville, and for a week and a half, we'll be in New York until Wednesday, the 10th of January, which is Thursday, 11th of January, back home. So, yeah, so looking forward to it. I can't wait. Also, I'm going to have a chance to go to 2 NBA games, one at the Barclays Center, one at Madison Square Garden, and if I have time, I might slip in an NHL game involving the New York Islanders, also at the same venue the Brooklyn Nets play at the Barclays Center. So, and obviously doing all the other sightseeing around New York. So, yeah, it'll be interesting, and hopefully the weather can be a little bit kinder than has been the last couple of days here in America.
Cool. So what we've got in the background there, it's a bit quick there, Will. But actually, I might see if I can slow that down. You did a little video of some of the action. Here we go. Let's try and slow that right down there. It'll not be as totally as quick, but there we go. Just tell us what we're seeing in the background there.
Absolutely. So that was at the end of the game, right at the end of the game actually, when the Tennessee Titans defeat the Jacksonville Jaguars 15-10 to book themselves a playoff spot, and not just put themselves a playoff spot, they actually moved up to the 5th seed after, so the equation, as I mentioned right at the start, was pretty simple for Tennessee. Tennessee had to win the game to make the playoffs, which they did. They won 15-10. You know, it was a bit of a heart stopper right at the end, but they got the job done of interception and in the last 30 seconds of that game. And then the equation was simple. If the Baltimore Ravens lost to the Cincinnati Bengals, then they'll take the 5th seed. If the Baltimore Ravens won, they'll be the 6th seed in the playoffs. Well, good news for the fans in Nashville that the Cincinnati Bengals did beat the Ravens on a last-minute touchdown with 40 seconds left to go. And the Bengals went on to win by 4 points, which means the Ravens dropped down to the playoffs because the Buffalo Bills managed to win their game in Miami by 6 points. So I should go for the significant ones throughout today's game. In particular, there was some big, huge games which affected the playoffs. Andrew, I'll just do the ones that actually affected how everything will stand at the end. Of course, so we'll start off with the NFC conference. There was only 2 teams that was vying for a playoff spot, with everyone pretty much made it anyway a couple of weeks before. Atlanta defeated Carolina 22-10, and Seattle lost to Arizona 26-24. So Atlanta made it through to the last wildcard spot. But all the attention was on the AFC conference in particular. And the Buffalo Bills, so we'll start off with the LA Chargers. They had to win to keep their hopes of the season line. They did that. They beat Oakland 30-10 at home. And then they were hoping that Buffalo Bills lost to Miami. Well, that didn't happen because the Buffalo Bills won 22-16. And then Buffalo had to hope that that Baltimore lost, which happened. Cincinnati 31, Baltimore 27. And, of course, Tennessee all they had to do was win. That's exactly what they did. Tennessee 15, Jacksonville 10. And, Andrew, it is now the playoffs. It's good. It's all set, ready to go with the wildcard game starting next weekend.
Well, it sounds like it'll be interesting, and you'll be watching that from New York along the way.
Correct.
And, of course, over here, the playoffs, well, the semi-finals are about to start in the WNBL. And as we discussed yesterday, the maths was right. Sydney ended up second on the ladder, so that they have the home, because it's an away home format. Sydney has the advantage of the potentially two games at home this week. So yeah, big rush to get the stadium filled. Here down in Melbourne, the Boomers, of course, playing on Wednesday. Already ticket sales are really good. So if you are watching on and you are interested in going to the game, please get onto trybooking.com and get your tickets. It's uncertain at the moment whether the tickets will be available on the door or not. So you'll have to get in quickly. And remember also that any regular season tickets, either season tickets or one-off tickets that you may have, are no longer valid for the final series. So please, if you are coming to the finals, make certain that you have purchased a ticket for the final series as well. So that you can't make the assumption that you'll simply just be able to get in along the way. But that's looking like it's a ripper, because the news from the Perth camp is not as bright as it might otherwise have been. We talked yesterday about the horror travel budget or travel schedule that they had, in that they have played 2 away games this weekend, and now
2 tough ones.
Now go to Melbourne, but Courtney Williams coming back from injury, so she's carrying an injury. Dow, their other import, did not play.
Ooh.
And the reason she didn't play was that they were trying to make certain that she had the best possibility to get over that. And Sammy Whitcomb went down 7 minutes and 35 seconds into the game, and did not go back on court. And she's fallen on her wrist, and at this stage, I don't know whether she's going to be able to suit up or not. So there hasn't been any confirmation from the Perth camp at this stage as to what's going on with Sammy. So there's 3 key players, all with injury concerns as well. And the interesting thing that the coach Andy Stewart did was once the injury happened to Sammy, he sat Alice Kunick down as well, so that there was no chance of her being injured as well. So they really were struggling, but they got absolutely belted by Townsville.
Well, it will happen when your key player's out, and then you rest the other one as well. So it was going to happen when that happens. Yeah.
So again, could be an interesting game along the way. In the men, we talked yesterday also about the Perth trip up to Cairns, and how that was potentially a danger game for Perth. Well, it turned out not to be a danger game for Perth, because they absolutely came out in the first quarter. I think it was something like 35 to 14 in the first quarter.
Ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah. Cairns came back in the second and the third, but couldn't just keep the momentum rolling, and went down in the fourth as well. So Cairns seasons, I would suggest to you, I did predict that they would not make finals. I'm pretty comfortable in that prediction at this stage. So as I said yesterday, I think the final 4 will be Perth, who'll probably finish on top, I would suggest. Melbourne and
who's going to finish second?
Well, I think it's potentially going to be Melbourne. I think it's Melbourne. Breakers are just off the boil at this moment. And it looks, look, if Melbourne can play like they played this last weekend, I think it'll be Melbourne. If not, it'll be the Breakers. But there's the top three anyway. There's the top three, and I think Adelaide will be comfortably fourth along the way there.
And would be justice too, because all four teams have played consistently throughout week in, week out. Even though they had all four of them have had a bit of a slump, but all four teams were far the best four teams.
Yes, they certainly have been, and out of all of those, the team that's been the most consistent has been Perth, and that's I think probably looking at that, I would say that they're probably going to win again, simply on that consistency factor. And if they do that, that'll be quite a historic win for them as well. They will certainly put a huge gap between any other club and themselves in terms of the number of NBL titles won over the history of the NBL. There are a number of commentators who are suggesting that Melbourne is still online on target, and potentially they could upset anybody as long as they're playing. Oh, here's the thing. Majuk still with groin injury, and David Anderson is out with plantar fasciitis, so he will probably not play as well this weekend. So again, they're really struggling with the big man stocks at the moment. So Josh Byrne is going to have to step in and fill in that centre spot, along with Dave Barlow and probably Troy Milner-Smith as well. So he'll probably get more of a run as long as they go. But there you go. There's the update on what was happening here along the way.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Especially with the WNBL finals happening fairly soon. So, So, and how's the weather been back in Melbourne?
The day today is lovely, as it is down in Hobart. Now, talking about Hobart, if you're interested in looking at an unusual sport, have you ever heard of anything called real tennis?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it. I have heard of it.
Well, real tennis is the original form of tennis itself, and it's played indoors. So it's almost like tennis. Well, I should say squash played on a tennis court, an indoor tennis court, and it uses slightly different balls and so on. But anyway, the Australian Open real tennis, Australian Open, is on down in Hobart at the moment, and that is being broadcast by our friends down in Hobart, Duff TV. And what I might do...
That's a great name.
Yeah, it is indeed. But what I might do is we might just see if we can just grab a little bit of the action that's going on down there just at this minute, just to give you a taster of what real TV is all about. So if I can get this to work.
Well, while you do that, because if you want to send us a Facebook message or comment, so you can do it below any of the comments, any of the video posts there, and you can actually we'll go to this first because now you brought it up, and then I'll get back to what I was going to say.
So there you go. This is the Play Brave Australian Open 2018, and as you can see there, it's this is the day one match, the day one in the Open men's, and it's quite different. So. What is apart from the fact that it's indoor and that it has and and it has the
yes, it has
indoor the big net through there as well. What's different about real tennis is that the actual racket itself, which are all handmade, you'll notice there that it's actually not a symmetrical racket. So it's sort of a bit lopsided along the way. And the balls themselves are not a normal tennis ball either. They're quite heavy. They're much more almost like a cricket ball in a sense, wrapped in without the leather on it, but wrapped in the tennis ball screen as well. And the whole idea of all of that is that it allows the players to put an awful lot of slice and spin on the ball itself. So it's quite a fascinating sport there. So that's what's going on down there in Tasmania at the moment. And as I said, thanks to our colleagues down there at Duff TV.
Duff TV.
Duff TV there. So there it is. So we'll leave that on in the background as we wrap up as well.
Yeah.
So,
as I was mentioning before that, Andrew, because we've already got a Facebook comment already through, of course, Dexter, because most if you ever attend to a Deakin Melbourne Blues game, everyone will know who Dexter is, because he's the Dragon, Dexter the Dragon has wrote, "What's up, boys?" So I can say I'm trying to stay warm here in Nashville at the moment. In this cold outside weather is outside here in Nashville on New Year's Eve, which is for our listeners back in Melbourne, it is around about 20 to 10 at the moment. Here in Nashville, I'll let everyone figure out how many hours behind I am to everyone back home, but. Yeah, if you have a comment, a question that you want to ask myself or Andrew, make sure you press through a comment, and we'll definitely be responding back to in the next day or so.
All right, so we're going to let you get some rest. It is getting close to that time when the fireworks are going to go off, and you've decided to watch it all from inside the hotel. I think a very smart idea, considering the temperature and the difficulty that you described to me off air of catching taxis around the place at the moment. So we'll let you go, and we'll catch up with you hopefully tomorrow or the day after.
Probably the day after when I'm in New York.
In New York. So we'll see you in 2 days' time. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to go to YouTube, search for Duff TV, and you can follow the rest of the Real Tennis. We'll see you in 2 days' time.